It's us in silhouette. We always seem to get the light wrong, don't we? It's because we're electricians and not camera operators, and some would say we're not even electricians, so there you go, you get what you're given. And we are today somewhere where that van looks familiar, Mr. Marsh. Who would have a big knob number plate? Yes indeed, Mr. Bundy. We're once again crashing a Bundy video. I tell you what, when he had just a few subscribers, we wouldn't have been seen dead with Bundy, but now that he's so popular, we'd be popping up like a fart smell on all his videos, don't we? Much to his annoyance, I'm sure. But to be fair, this is the CV postcode area. This is our turf.
This is our turf.
Our turf. Oh, where's my fucking zoom? There he is. We don't need no amateurs on our turf, so let's go and have a little look at what he's been doing.
Pretending to be bad over there. Yeah. Teddy, but...
Right, let's go and have him.
I've learned myself today. I've become a mock spreader.
That's all you're fucking good for, mate.
Crack cocaine.
Yes, we've crashed this job of Nick Bundy's because we just happened to be passing and saw his van on the drive, and he's on our turf.
Your turf?
Yeah, this is the CV area, mate.
Oh, is that kind of yours?
Yeah.
Well, if you've not watched my video, everyone, hang on, Dave's falling camera as usual. I'm actually on Mike from Greenhawk, who lives 2 roads over. This is his turf, and this is also his rewire that he quoted as well.
Nige says he can have Mike in a fight any day of the week.
He did say that earlier.
Knock him out, he said.
Yeah, only if Adam's not there.
Speaking of which, I understand he's lying on the floor in the kitchen.
He is.
How you doing, lad?
Yeah, alright, yeah. Just putting a pigtail in.
Oh.
With the broom?
Yeah, with the broom.
Going well.
You learned everything you knew off you, Nicholas. Let's have a little poke around it. So you've done a video about this rewire, and you've had some proper people collabing with you on it.
Some proper sparks, yeah.
Before we came along to pick faults. I tell you what, he does a neat job, doesn't he, our Bundo?
Thanks, mate.
I mean, yeah, that's all right, isn't it? Of course, it's not an SBS board, so you've still got all these tails here. But yeah, fuse box all right. Fuse box all right. Yeah. Wish I could do boards that neatly. How long did it take you to do that, Nick?
An hour, was it? What are you laughing at?
No time at all. These youngsters.
Yeah.
Has he got a line and neutral the right round? I want to see one of these where he's got a line and neutral the wrong way round. In fact, we should have set that up, shouldn't we? We should have put one the wrong way round just to fucking have him on it. Maybe we'll swap some of those neutrals around later and see if it confuses him. But what we do have here today are a bunch of old things. Yes, not just us. Let's go and have a look at the old tings. And we've got the old tings outside. It's actually warmer out here than it is in that bloody house. So yeah, we'll come out here and kneel on the ground like the tramps that we are. But we've got here a box of old tings. And these were actually donated to Nicholas by Certon, who offer online certification services. We're just going to have a little bit of a dive through. I don't know that any of these are actually working. But certainly the batteries in them are long since dead. The instruments themselves last saw use in anger around the millennium, but we thought it'd be quite interesting to see what sparks of the past were using to do their inspection and testing with. Or maybe it's not interesting, in which case no one's watching this, so we can
so let's just
say what we like, yes. Nigel's going to delve into the cardboard box of joyous old age and fish out the instruments, and I shall take a picture of them for a close-up on my new fake BlackBerry. Yeah, don't ask. Right. What's number 1, Nigel?
This one is a robin.
No shit, son.
And insulation, IR tester. And
right. Well, let's have a little chat about that one, shall we? I'm just going to take a photograph with my not a BlackBerry. There's nothing like professional on-the-cuff editing, is there?
I noticed that these have a twist to lock. What brand is it these days? It's the green.
Q-Tech. Well, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I don't know how factual this is, but we were talking about Robin, talking about these testers actually on an EGT podcast. Bear with me.
God, Dave just...
If I may be so bold.
Dave just shat in the pan.
We were talking about these, and somebody said in the comments on the EGT podcast that Robin were bought out by Fluke, and the Robin people went and formed Q-Tech.
Ah,
There
so
you
there's
go.
the link.
So that's why, yes, that's why you see some of the Robin stuff remade as Q-Tech or using the same sort of terminology. But this is an installation and continuity tester. So this is one that will do your low ohms, your
IRs.
and your IR testing. Yeah. So it's got a scale range. It's not auto scale like you would expect on a modern instrument for continuity. And you just select the range that you want, and
It feels like so long ago since you had to select your range.
it does, doesn't it?
Mhm.
This one takes, I believe, AA batteries, long since defunct. We probably should have fished them out. I think we've got some on the van that we could put in there to try that out. So that's a shame we didn't do that. Never fear, because future Dave is here. Yes, those last two guys, they don't know that I'm going to crop up at this point and do some actual testing with some of these things. So it's not just two old blokes talking about some busted up old testers out in somebody's back garden. No, there's a whole lot more to this video, just to string it out a little bit further and to actually put these things through their paces. Long since out of calibration these, so I'm not convinced we're going to get super numbers out of them. But the first thing we were talking about was the insulation continuity tester. So I've got it here in the Twat Cave for your pleasure. And just to say as well that this thing is horrendously dangerous, and one ought not to be fiddling around a live board. It is actually switched off at the moment, with this buzz bar arrangement and wires hanging out everywhere and some idiot drinking white wine. Magic. But yes, I'll try not to kill myself as I play around with all these things. I do these things so you don't have to. Not that you would want to, probably. Let's have a look at this thing first of all, shall we? And it is interesting that we have the we don't have an auto scale range. So if I switch it to ohms, let's get it closer there. I'm looking over that way because that's where my screen is, so I can see what you're seeing. Switch it to ohms and switch it to, well, let's we're going for a low ohm reading, so we want to switch it to the lowest scale that's on there, which is 20 ohms full scale deflection. And I'm just going to do an end to end on the line forming this ring circuit. So we stick our clips on. I should also say that these leads and clips, I'm sorry if it's fucking with your feng shui a little bit, I've got red and black and blue and all sorts of stuff involved here. These are leads that are maybe thrown together or come as part of these testers. All very suspect. There's a reason why these leads sit in my drawer. They're like, I'm not sure that these are any good anymore, but I'm too tight to throw them away and buy new ones. So, anyway, going back to this, we're on ohms, 20 ohms. Oh, I didn't do the auto null. I should do the auto null, I suppose, shouldn't I? Let's join these bad boys together. I don't know what that's doing. It says auto null. I don't know if it's saying that it's got 1.4 ohms of resistance that it's going to ignore, or it certainly didn't come up with a zero figure, did it? But someone out there will remember using these things. Anyway, let's see what we've got ring end to end here. We're on ohms. 0.74-ish, 0.72. Is it bollocks? That's way out. It's dropping around a bit. It's nice that it just carries on doing the test, so we don't have to hold anything down because it's got the twist to lock button. 0.63. I think it's a little bit out, to be fair. But let's fire up the Metrel here, and this is a calibrated tester, the Metrel. I'm going to need another. Again, its lead is a bit funky. So let's just see what we get. 0.14, probably nearer what I'd expect it to be. 0.13, yeah, I'm expecting a fairly low number. There's not a lot of resistance on this circuit, so to see it coming up with a higher number on the old Robin here makes me think that it's a little bit out, a little bit past its prime. No matter. Just get that number again, shall we? Yeah, 0.57, 0.56. Consistent, burnt out. Might be the leads, might be the tester itself. It's been a long time since anyone played with this thing. 6 AA batteries I had to put in this. It's cost me an awful lot in batteries, this is. Let's do an insulation resistance test. So I'm going to take one of these leads off and put it on earth, on the earth bar. And we should, let's whack up our scale to 2000 mega ohms and 500 volts. And what we should get here, indeed we do, is an off-scale high. It's nice, it's got like the mega display where it has the little analog effect LCD meter. Off-scale high, if I were to short the other end of my ring there to earth, down it drops to a fat 0. So the lighting in here is terrible, isn't it? It's reflecting all over the place on this stuff. Interesting bit of kit. Quite nice. I like that. Although it's wholly inaccurate and pretty beaten up and chews through AA batteries, I'm sure. Last calibration date, 20th September 2007.
Oh, that's when I bought my house.
Some people still like the separates, you know, the separate instruments. I think it's a bit of a pain in that you've got to carry more around with you and calibrate things separately.
That has seen better days, hasn't it?
The probe is actually that shape.
Is it?
I don't know why it's got tape around it, but yes, there's another one in here. There you go.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So that's most curious. Most curious.
I suppose it's like the old the ergonomic pliers and like.
Maybe,
yeah, so
maybe
you
yeah.
can go like that.
Perhaps there's a jolly good reason for it. Nigel, would you like to fish out instruments number 2?
Thing.
And I shall prepare mine, not a BlackBerry.
Our next one is microprocessor controlled.
As they all are, seemingly.
A Rucker tester.
Oh, okay. Well, let's. Why don't you hold that, Nigel? I'll take a picture of you modelling the Rucker tester. Obviously, no batteries needed on this one because all it can do is live testing. So one that selects the RCD tripping current rating, 0 to 180 degrees via a mechanical switch there, and then you get your half times, 1 times, or 5 times. So pretty much the same as you would see on a modern MFT in terms of option selection. However, this is mechanically selected as opposed to via a menu structure. There's many instruments are these days, except for things like the Mega and Fluke and
no auto testing on that one.
A lot of the other ones. No, I suppose you would have to
1 and 5 times.
Select each test individually.
Yeah.
You also have neons here. The later models of these had LEDs, but these earlier ones had neons to show your polarity, so that you could visually verify full polarity. Date last checked, 31st of March, 99. Ooh. So that's a while since it's seen some action, I suspect. Future Dave pops up again to have a closer look at the RCD tester in a live environment. There you go, you've got your 0, 180 degree button, your RCD tripping select button, and then your test button, half times, 1 times, or 5 times dial, I should say. Not a button, it's a dial, David, you moron. Let's plug it in. There are sexy little neons there showing us that our polarity is correct. 0 on the screen. I thought it was going to show me the voltage. Some of these show the voltage when you put them on, but this one obviously isn't. Let's do a half times test. Obviously we have a 30 milliamp RCD for additional protection here, so it ought not to trip on a half times test. And indeed, it says off scale, whatever the scale is. I don't know what timeout it's got built into it, but it doesn't really matter so long as it doesn't actually trip the RCD off. We don't really care what that is. Let's go to, we're on 30 milliamps 1 times, and you see the RCD just here, which ought to trip off. Oh, don't you just love it when it goes according to plan? 26 milliseconds. 5 times, should get something, I don't know, I'm going to go out and say 8 milliseconds. Oh, yeah, I was thinking 7 as well. What a bastard. Oh, yeah. So, very basic Interesting bit of kit. No batteries required, it just does what it says on the tin. Let's go back to past Dave and that fool Nigel. I should just prepare the camera once again. Nigel, if you would like to fish out. Let's go for the... let's keep the Robin set together, shall we?
Okay.
Now I can already tell you what this one will be because there's only one left and it's going to be the PSC tester.
That's correct. It is the PSC tester.
Nigel, would you like to model that one as well? I should get you to model it. This is a really good video. I'm getting a good vibe out of this video. I think people will be really pleased to see this one.
Oh, riveted. Riveted.
I've actually got one of these.
Sorry guys, I'll come between us two.
Jesus.
Nick Bundy.
What's this? What's this?
Come to
I'd
interrupt him.
come and stick my face in the video, get the views up, you know what I'm saying?
You've already missed us talking about these two instruments. We're just on the PSC. I've got one of these. In fact, I showed it on that AGT video, didn't I? And mine, similarly like this one, hasn't been calibrated since '99 or thereabouts.
I was 7.
7.
7. Adam wasn't even born.
Really?
Nigel's 47. But
Rude, mate.
this one allows you to do your loop test and your fault current test, and you obviously select the range with which you're going to undertake the test. I had to buy a lead for mine because it's been sat around for so long. I haven't got the lead for it. I was like, I'm going to go onto some kind of crappy auction site or whatever it was and spend a horrendous amount of money on leads so I can show mine off, and I haven't. Yes, well, we got leads aplenty here now, haven't we?
You're very welcome.
Well, that's just an IEC lead. Yes, I did.
Yeah, sounds.
Yes, from Certon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyd at Certon, for sending these through. Most fascinating os they are too.
I have no input in any of this, so
No.
chumash. I will leave.
You just look pretty. Oh, he's gone.
It's just scenery.
I'm just going to stand behind the camera and whip something out.
Oh my God.
No, you'll move the camera.
I've not seen one that colour before.
Don't white it on it.
What an unpleasant chap that Bundy fellow is, but let's have a closer look at this bad boy. Now this one, where's the angle? There's the angle. Avoid the lights, David, and get the camera. I don't know what that reflection is there. You've got, this one actually shows you the voltage as well as the polarity once you plug it in, which is nice. I like that. I actually have two of these because I have my own, which normally has been sitting up there. It's some ideal inshore connectors that are taking its place at the moment as I prat around doing stuff. But yeah, so I've got two of these now, which is nice, and I've already lost the lead for my one. So you have two settings on your dial. Go down for your loop test and up for your fault current test. And again, it's all about setting the scale. It's just the two functions, but you need to know what scale you're selecting. So if you were on something like a TNS arrangement, you would hope that you'd be on the 20 ohm. Whereas if you're prattling around with TT installations, you may have to select up to a higher scale. All it does is move the decimal point around on the display, I think. Similarly for the fault current test, it's going to be the opposite way around. Most of the time your fault current's going to be on the high scale, of 20 kiloamps. Then you drop it down to 2000 or 200 amps if you're testing something that's got quite a high impedance, like an earth spike or something. So here on this TN arrangements, we're going to start with, we're not actually testing this at source, we're testing a ZS, basically. We're testing what earth fault loop impedance we're getting from this socket, which ought to be below 20 ohms. In fact, I wonder if I should do it on the Metrel MI3100S first, just to see what number we get. Where's my doody dardy? Oh, it's there. That's handy, Harry. So let's switch that on. Oh, that's a design flaw, isn't it? I've gone and taped up my leads there, so they don't actually reach my socket adapter thingamajig. And because I'm on an RCD, I'm going to have to split the neutral off. Not a lot of thought's gone into this video, as you can probably tell. ZS RCD, go. This is the no trip function on this tester. I'm expecting something around the, I don't know, 0.3, 0.4 mark, perhaps, something like that. Come on, baby. Oh, 0.45, not too bad. So that's around expectations. And again, that metal is calibrated, so I've got no reason to disbelieve what's on the display. I shouldn't have all this stuff flapping around, all this live shit, should I? But again, not exactly lab conditions. Okay, where did I put that thing? There we go. 0.45 we're saying. I should have taken note what the fault current reading was as well, shouldn't I? That was silly of me. But certainly we should be on the low end of the scale for the loop test. I trust it's not going to trip out the RCD. 0.51. We had 0.45, this is 0.51. That ain't bad, is it? That ain't bad. Fault current, well, for such a low impedance, we better stick that right up onto the 20 kiloamp range. 0.42. What would happen if we stuck it down to 2000 amps? Yeah, that's the better scale, isn't it? 448 amps is our fault current. So yeah, interesting. 2 functions. It doesn't quite well. That's 3 functions actually, because as well as your loop test and your PSC test, it also gives you your voltage and polarity. So I guess you could say it's got more than just one job, but a nice instrument. Let's go back to past Dave. What have we got here, Nigel? This is something interesting. I've not seen one of these before.
Is another one of those, but simpler.
This is the Nigel Marsh version, is it? It's simpler.
There we go. It's another loop tester.
It is another loop tester.
Much simpler.
In that it doesn't do the fault current test. So the last one did loop and fault current testing, and one selected the dial to choose the range. This one, again, you select the dial to choose the range for your fault current. It's got a stiff, oh, that's a stiff knob. This is the model 4113. Again, live testing only, so there shouldn't be any batteries in there. Let's assume there's no batteries in there. Can't get it out the case. It's a bit of a funny case, isn't it? It's like, I think it's missing a lid or something. Oh, that's probably what this is.
No, that's for a RCD tester.
Oh, right. Well, it obviously would have had the same sort of thing.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, okay. So, yes, there you go. Another interesting old thing. Back again, eh? Right, well, here's this Model 4113 digital loop tester. A one-function device. Again, selectable range, 20 ohms, 200 ohms, 2000 ohms, same as the other Robin ranges. So you can switch it around to, depending whether you're on a TN or a TT type situation. And again, I think it just moves a decimal point around, really. Anyway. This one I can't test on an end circuit because there's nowhere to connect to neutral, and it's not a 2-wire tester. I just tried it and it tripped out my RCD. So I'm just going to plug this in at source and we'll see what we get. So I'm going to connect my 2 probes here and push the button, and we get 0.32. I don't know how well you can see that. 0.32. No batteries in the thing, no batteries to put in the thing, I don't think, so when you take it off you lose your number. But 0.32 is our reading. How accurate is that still? Let's find out with our metriel. I think it's a bit high, or is it a bit low? Could be either way, couldn't it? 0.32. No, that must be a bit low because we got 0.4 something out of those sockets, and there's not that much resistance on the sockets. Z loop, no RCD involved. Give me a number, please. It's calibrated metriel 0.43. Yeah, so it was a bit low. There you go. But an interesting thing. You're not going to see something with that much bulk and such a limited function in modern times. For the space that takes up in the toolbox, you can get something far more capable. Let's go back to those morons. There's two more. You've only got two
more.
more to sit through if you're patiently waiting for your coffee shout-outs.
Okay. This is an RCCB tester.
Keep it still, man. The Robin 5402D. Again, another RCD tester similar to the one we just looked at. You've got your another stiff knob for your RCD current selection, and then a no trip option, a trip option, which I presume is a 2-wire test, I don't know, and a fast trip option. I don't know what that is. Do comment if you know what the fast trip option ever did. Bloody hell. Right, okay. The Robin, yes. RCCB tester. I must get my eyes sorted out. I can't see these things anymore. Before you start commenting about the fast trip option, now that I've had a bit of a play with it, I kind of know what it's doing. When you plug it in, you get the neons giving you your very basic indication of polarity, and we get a 0 display. We select our RCD of choice. Let's just drop it down to 10 milliamps. Because what I'm going to do here, actually, I'm going to use my TIS 570 earth leakage clamp meter. Zero that. And what we should see on the no trip setting at 10 milliamps, obviously it should put out 5 milliamps. And indeed it does, 5.5 it went up to there, and it comes up with an off scale on the display. 30 milliamps, obviously we should see 15 milliamps appear on the test there. I've got no idea if you can see that or not in the dreadfulness that is this video. So 15 milliamps ought to appear on that screen, and indeed it does, 15.5, and we're off scale high there, so that's doing its job rather nicely. The trip option, if I set it to the trip option at 30 milliamps, obviously it's going to give me hopefully a time that it trips in. Oh, that was quick, wasn't it? Didn't seem to hold anything on the display there, which is a bit worrying. Let's just try that again, shall we? Try and avoid the reflections. Oh wow, you have to read that pretty quickly, don't you? It just sort of zoops right off there. The fast trip function is kind of like your 5 times test, and this is interesting, if any of this is interesting, because the fast trip is set to 250 milliamps, so it's not a 5 times, because obviously at a 30 milliamp RCD it should be 150 milliamps. So I wonder whether 16th edition, whichever amendment to 16th edition was enforced when this was in use, whether there was a 5 times test, or whether that was something that was introduced later, and whether the test instruments here just did a, well, let's check it by walloping a massive 250 milliamps through it. Yeah, that certainly trips it in quick order, does it not? So if there's any old hands out there, anybody who was around when 16th edition was still in force back around the in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, who perhaps played with these things, why was the fast trip at 250 milliamps and not 150 or at 5 times? Because was that something that was hard coded into BS 7671 at the time? Be interesting to know. Interesting for someone like me anyway. But yeah, still does its function. Doesn't seem to hold the trip time number 33. You have to be there to sort of read that quite quickly, don't you? 33 milliseconds. Oh, crikey. 36 was the highest that display got to there. So it's quaint, isn't it? I find these things interesting in a very quaint way, and aren't we lucky in that the kind of gear we have today is so much easier to use. It does the auto ranging for you, and it remembers your numbers for you, or at least displays them. Some of them of course do have memories and will actually hold that number for you, so yeah, interesting.
That's crispy.
Oh yes, that's a shame. That's seen better days, hasn't it? But let's get a picture.
Yeah.
Marvellous. This is another RCD tester.
Yeah, the CBT one. I've just passed my CBT.
This is a mega instrument. And again, we have our RCD current selection. Nice clonking switch, that
This
one.
is very clunky.
No trip or another with a fast trip, another fast trip. Let's look at what these fast trips are. And then you've got these neon indicators to, like you had on the last one, to indicate in a neonly way
Yes.
that your polarity and shit are all correct and good.
This one's obviously been overloaded at some point.
Yeah, that's been, I don't know what's gone on there. It might have just like perished over the years or something.
It's
or,
like it's overheated, doesn't it?
yeah, it does, doesn't it? Getting near the end of the old vino here. I'm going to have a refill in a minute. But once again, Future Dave pops up with this beast. The RCCB tester, a mega instrument, no less. Would help if I turn that on, wouldn't it? Again, neon indicators giving us an indication of where we are with it. Let's switch this to, just reset that and zero it out. And what we'll do, we've got it on 30 milliamps, which is the obviously the rating of this RCD. No trip, which I assume has got to be a 15 milliamp test, or half times test. And when you press the button, it just does that. What's coming up on the screen there? I don't know that that's reacting fast enough to really give us a reading. A few milliamps are injected into it. I am seeing that number change. I don't know how well you can see it. Does it help if I put the backlight on? Probably not. That's getting up to around 4 milliamps. But I think that's perhaps down to the clamp meter just not being able to pick up that change in the magnetic field quite quickly enough. So I don't know what that does. Let's put it on the trip setting and we'll switch this to max. And hopefully we'll see something around the 30 milliamp mark. 2.6. So that didn't get high enough before it wasn't able to detect the magnetic field quite appropriately enough. Never mind. So the trip function does work. Again, it's got one that's labelled as fast trip. It doesn't say what current it's going to inject into it, whether that's 250 milliamps or 150 milliamps. But it works. But you notice there's nowhere on here to record the time of the tripping. It is merely to test the functionality of the RCD. Something that's built into some of my other things here. I've got the TIS 1005 socket tester here, which has a RCD trip button. Let's turn that circuit on. If I push that, again, basic functionality of RCD test, of the RCD, tested. The same with the TIS 859 voltage indicator. That also has an RCD test button if you push it. Incidentally, I keep coming across people who with this tester who don't realise, as I did when I first got it, that you can unscrew the fat ends off the tips to allow them to push into nooks and crannies. This thing comes with fat probe ends, and you want to take the fat probe ends off if you want to actually get it into things. Good test of that. But this thing, again, it's a lot of bulk in the toolbox for something that's got a very limited function, which is basically to test whether your RCD will trip with what is presumably a half times current. Nope, fine. And test that it will trip when you put it onto the rated current. Great. One more to go. These have all seen better days, of course. And then we've got one more exciting thing to show, which is an NFT from around the millennium. This is what Sparks of the late 90s would have been using as their go-to gear, a Seaward SBS 7671. Nigel, would you care to model? Just got to fire up the non-BlackBerry. Marvellous, I can put that away now. It's all my photographs taken. Now, we have tried to get this working today. I've spent 15 quid on 6 C-cell batteries for this. Varta ones as well, so they're shit. And that was from a petrol station because Tesco didn't have anything. So I noticed, you know, the new Metrol that we've been using lately?
Yes.
Corey was on Instagram, Artisans Corey, complaining about the battery life of that yesterday.
I can understand.
It does chomp through the batteries,
does.
but at least you can recharge the fecking thing. Whereas this one just cost me 15 quid in replacement batteries, and I imagine they probably only last 5 minutes. So, you know, you've got it easy these days, kids, compared to how they used to have it. We've tried to get this one working, and we have managed to get it to fire up. The display does come on, but it simply isn't undertaking any tests. So I've been through and I've tried various menu options and resetting it and going through the instructions that are handily written on the lid here, but to no avail, which is a shame because I wanted to see that in action. So I don't know if that's something...
Especially for 15 quid.
Yeah, damn straight. I wanted to get some value for money out of my batteries. So I don't know, maybe it's worth sort of taking apart at some stage and just having a bit of a play to see what's going on there. If you've got one of these, and if you know of any impediment, any common fault, any reason why it wouldn't be undertaking its tests, anything that you remember from the day that you had to do to reset it or kick it up the pants, do let me know. Got an RS-232 printer port there, so you can connect your old dot matrix printer and all your results.
Yep.
But interesting that it actually saved results, and that you could download them onto a printed form, because obviously that's something that even a lot of more modern testers don't do. So yeah, interesting. I don't know how many results it could save. As I say, I'm a little disappointed I can't get much out of this because it just looks like a wonderful thing. The dead tests don't seem to work at all. I can't get anything out of the continuity or insulation resistance ranges, which is a shame. But live testing it, as I now am, we can see that we are reading a voltage, which is nice, and I can get a fault current reading out of it, 0.50, which is what we got earlier. We've got 0.45 on the Metrol, if you remember. I can't get a loop reading out of it because it just strips the RCD. There is another probe port here, which I wonder if that's supposed to have a secondary probe connected to something to stop the RCD from tripping. Obviously, I'm going in via an IAC lead here, so the neutral you'd think would be in play to prevent tripping, but I'm afraid my unfamiliarity with the instrument shines through and shows me up as the massive knobhead I really am. But it seems to be faulty anyway because I can't get anything out of the dead tests. So a damn shame, a crying shame, because it just looks like such a wonderful piece of equipment. Anyway, that's all from Future Dave. I'm going to put the cover back on the board here and replenish my glass and leave you with those Berks back on site in the past. Chin chin. So yes, a very nice piece of kit. I like that. I like that. I like the. It just weighs a bit. I like the aesthetic of that. And it doesn't look like it's in too bad a nick either, does it?
Does it?
It's certainly not as beaten up as
these, yeah.
The others. But again, date last checked, 31st of March 99, so clearly one that's not seen much action for some time, and indeed the batteries we pulled out of it expired in March 2006, so that goes to show when anyone last used it in anger. Interesting stuff, or not. Do let us know.
It's only interesting if you're a sparky nerd.
But yeah, you know,
or old school that wants to see some of the stuff you used to use.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, it's been particularly mind-numbing.
Tedious, perhaps.
In fact, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I'm sorry about that, Nigel.
So, what can I say? My feet are going to sleep. My dick's being crushed in this position. I think I'm going to stand up.
Would you like me to adjust it for you, old man? He normally readily agrees to that, but perhaps not on camera. Anyway, I think it's time that we got away from old Nick and Adam, who are busy in the house there, who very kindly brought this stuff here today so that we could
Take a butcher's.
take a look at it. Yeah. And now I think we'll.
Let's leg it before they ask us to do any more work.
Well, I'm thinking we should perhaps vandalise his van to teach him a lesson for being on our
good,
postcode
good.
area. Oh, Christ on a bike! My fucking knees! Oh.
Jesus.
Pensioners.
You know, thanks to Uncle Nick Bundy,
Oh yes, Uncle Nick.
mine is now bigger than yours.
Yes, I'm rather smo that Nick gave Nige a new torch. After Nige
Mine just feels better in the home.
Nige derided my torch from the great James Beck. Mine's better than that. Blah, 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 blah. And of course, once Nick comes along and goes, oh, would you like one, Nige? He's like, oh, yes, please, Nick. Yes, please, give me a torch. Please give me a torch.
Well, Nick is such a nice gentleman that, yes, I can do that too.
Anyway, that was perhaps the most boring video we've ever recorded. I don't think anybody's still watching this. They're only watching this to get the Buy Me a Beer shout-outs. So, bing, there's the logo up in the corner. Nigel, would you like to begin with the Virgin list? We have some new contributors.
Andrew Mounsey at Technica Site Engineering.
Thank you, Andrew.
Sounds interesting.
It does, doesn't it? Technica Site Engineering, I wonder what they do. Mark Bassett Electrical, who has very kindly bought us a salty treat.
And Darren Briddock of Electrical and Test.
No less. The Darren Briddock, Electrical Test. Darren Briddock. Wasn't he in... His name just pinged into my head as... we bumped into him in Alex, I'm sure. I'm sure he's on our Alex video. Darren Briddock, yes. CEO of Electrical and Test. I remember him now. I remember bumping into you in the cafe there, Darren. Which you'll always find us in a cafe or a pub. This time in the morning, well, we're in a pub, but we can't get any hard alcohol just yet. So thank you, Darren. And James at B2 Energy is our latest Virgin. Hello, James. Moving on to the Hawes list, we have
Richard Arblaster.
the faithful
A name that's been up many times.
Indeed so. M Cox Electrical. Thank you, M Cox Electrical.
And from across the pond, Chuck Kirchner.
Old Chuck E. Cheese over there, sitting in the snow in Maine. We've just got rain here, as always. Another
My
drizzly
wife
day.
loves snow. She would love it if it snowed every
And I'm
day.
sure Chuck would be only too pleased to give you some of his. Instead, we've got garden lighting in the rain. It rained on Wednesday doing garden lighting. It was nice yesterday when we were pissing around with Nick, and it's raining again today. Now we've got garden lighting.
Yes.
It's just the way the shit rolls. GR Electrical RH17. I should also say happy birthday. It's a happy birthday fuck you for the 11th of March, which is coming up in a few days. Maybe we'll have this edited by then. So.
And a Virgin that has recently become a whore is Steve Naylor.
Congratulations on your promotion, Steve. Oh yes, I seem to have missed Steve out on my list there. Yes. Also, another promotion to the Hawes list is Chris Dansath. Our man biker Chris. You know what? You're about to become a menace on the roads on two wheels yourself, aren't you, Nigel?
I've been a menace in the past, but I never took my full test. So rode as a kid, rode as an adult, never took a full test until watch this space coming soon.
Indeed. One day, Nigel will be a bloody stain all the way down the A46, probably into the wheels of my Transit. Andy Hills is also another promotion to the Hawes list, so congratulations, Andy.
And Jim Hook.
Jim Hook, indeed, yes.
Sydney, Australia?
He is in Sydney. A very soggy Sydney, not a sunny Sydney, unfortunately. And get well soon, Jim. I understand you've got, well, something.
Cover up.
Hopefully nothing serious.
Cover up.
And finally, Nigel, would you?
Damien, an ex-forces electrician.
Not only an ex-forces electrician, but a recent promotion to the Hawes list.
Yes.
Well done, Damien. We also have 2 anonymous cowards, one of which fantasises about us and Linda, which can't be helped.
Well, in a very tight cab, she does enjoy the spreadies.
That's only because her back hurts.
Yes, because her back hurts.
But legs everywhere, all over the windscreen. She might be back on the van with us soon, so she's had her back surgery.
We'll have to see how her back is.
Yes, indeed, and see how pliable she is, how much she can bend. Also, a special mention to Mark, who, now we said in the last video, we suspect that some of these anonymous cowards aren't intending to be anonymous cowards, and they're just not getting their display name put on there. And Mark got in contact with me via email to say, I am one of those people. I'm typing in the display name and it disappears and it comes up as anonymous. So I don't know what's going on there, Mark, but special mention to you, and you've cleared up some of the missing names on the anonymous list there. There's 1 or 2 others as well who, because I've been in the back end now of this thing, and I can see the email addresses. 1 or 2 others where I think, I wonder if they intend to make all these contributions anonymously, or if they are just getting pissed off with the fact that we're not reading out them and their business name. If it's not working for you and your name's not being read out, do email me and we shall correct that. So special mention to Mark, and I shall keep an eye out for your appearing again, Mark, if indeed you want to.
Unless you've just gone, no, I'm bored with that.
Yeah, a couple of hours, especially with videos like this, which is perhaps the most boring video we've ever made.
I don't know. The last video which hasn't gone out yet. Maybe. Just as boring.
The rewire one.
Our box of tricks.
That's the one we've just made, you idiot.
Is it? Oh, right.
Unbelievable. He's not even with it. He doesn't even know what video we're filming. You were there. Oh, right. I think I better take you.
That's this one. This one, yes. Yeah. Very boring. Yeah. Turn off.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Go and watch something else instead.
And if it may already be too late for that. But yes, these coffee shout-outs are taking far too long now. We need to come up with a quick way of doing it. I think the coffee shout-outs probably lasted longer than the video. So
maybe we should have one of those things that go up the
people don't like the scrolling text.
But done in the American style, where it goes
really quickly. yeah, might do that. Anyway, thank you all. And sorry this video was shit.
Yes.
We'll have a slightly less shit one for you next time, perhaps.
We should try and do something funny some point. I'm not sure if we're funny anymore.
No, I've lost my funny bone.
Yeah.
Just don't have bone for it anymore. It's old age, you just can't get the bone.
Maybe just a good kick in the bollocks will sort it out.
We should try that.
We'll do that
for
off
you, camera.
Not me, for you. We'll practice it. I'll go and kick him in the bollocks some point today and we'll see if it's funny.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Otherwise, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.